about this is we've never done this before.
No, you haven't.
We've kind of thrown it together.
Yes.
But it's because we're passionate about women. We're passionate about helping women through life.
Yes.
On any level, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you and I have experienced...
Started off with a little dream, didn't it?
It did.
Tiny little dream.
It did, a tiny little dream. And we didn't even plan to match today, but we did.
Twinning. We're twinning.
How far apart are we in age? So I'm 50.
I lose count, 32.
You're losing count?
Yeah, I'm losing count.
Brain fog? I think you're dealing with brain fog way too soon.
Mom brain? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, it is. It is. Mom brain on a few levels?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So we're going to talk about our endometriosis journey.
Yeah, sounds good.
Fortunately and unfortunately, we've battled it on two completely different levels.
Yeah.
And I say fortunately partially because you have a beautiful boy and I have two beautiful children.
Yeah.
And so many women can't fall pregnant when they have endometriosis, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So, can you share a little bit of your journey with us?
Yeah.
With the endometriosis battle, and maybe starting with how you even figured out something might be wrong.
So yeah, that is a really broad question. I guess there's so much in that I could answer, and I'll probably answer a few of your questions that you have.
Yeah, cool.
Along the way, but goodness, it started way back. Or it probably actually came into light when I first married my husband over 11 years ago now. And we met in uni, so we were young. Obviously, I know at this point absolutely nothing about endometriosis. I know nothing about the disease, never even heard the word before, never heard it mentioned before. So I'm sure even through my teen years, I did definitely experience symptoms and things through, like, with my periods and that sort of thing. But it was nothing that I really thought twice about because I didn't know about the disease. I had no awareness of it. So I guess
Sorry, let me interrupt there. Like, no awareness. Like, you'd never even heard the word.
Never.
Okay, because I was a bit the same.
Yeah, and I guess so. I just thought it was all normal. I never questioned it.
The periods were normal.
Yeah, the periods as a teenager. So, yeah, sorry, I went back a few more years. But probably when I first started thinking there is something wrong or there's something there was when I first got married. And this is getting really personal straight away. Okay. Very deep, very quickly.
You and I are a bit like that. We're like that. We're happy to share our stuff for the sake of others learning.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool.
So, got married at only 20. Had my 21st on our honeymoon over in Thailand. And obviously we saved ourselves for marriage, and so it was first time for us. And
wait, can I interrupt here?
Yes.
You said obviously saved yourself for marriage.
Yes.
Okay, that's not obvious to a lot of women or men these days.
Yeah.
So can I just say that that's quite remarkable?
Yeah, thanks.
And incredible. So good to you. Way to go. That's awesome. Okay, continue.
Yeah, good for both of us. It's hard for a guy and it's hard for a girl. Yeah, when you're so in love. So so we saved ourselves, and obviously the first time it was really painful, I'll be honest, and I thought there's something not right there. I remember people saying, look, it could be the first time, you know.
So your intercourse was painful.
Very painful. Yeah. And it was not really enjoyable, and it was hard because it made me not look forward to it. I didn't want to have that connection with my husband, and then it brings challenges in the relationship, and this obviously continues. So it wasn't just the first time. Obviously the first time, you know, you expect it to be a little bit, you know, but this continued on into our marriage, and it became painful. It just continued to be, and I'll be honest, I never spoke to anybody about it, probably because I was a little bit, maybe a bit shy about it, and wasn't sure if it was normal or not.
And you have a wonderful family. You have sisters and an amazing mum and dad, and so you didn't even feel to talk to them about it.
No, I'm very close to all of them, and I didn't really know. I didn't talk to them and ask them And I should have, like, looking back, I should have spoken to them, just to, you know, help me through that as a young wife, like, just navigating different things. But I never did. So obviously, started. So that was one symptom with the intercourse, and then periods. Obviously, this was the same as a teenager too. They would be quite painful. I'd get really bad lower cramps, lower back pain. I'd break out a lot. I got a lot of really bad acne, terrible skin. I was just in a lot of pain, and I probably, I wouldn't say it was absolutely crippling like what some women go through, where I've heard of women who have it and they can't get out of bed. It stops them from...
That was me.
Yeah, it stops them from being able to get out and do things and do life.
To function days.
That's right. That's right. And, you know, that's terrible. And you know, I feel for women like yourself who have been through that, because I think for me, like, I was still able to do those things. I pushed through, but I was like, boy, it's painful. And, you know, maybe I could pop a Nurofen or something, even though I was never a Panadol or Nurofen girl. I hated taking medication or painkillers. I avoided it at all costs. So
can I also just interject there, though, after having my experience, and I know we're not interviewing me today, but when I was your age, I was the same, not knowing what I was dealing with. I just thought it was normal, and I wasn't debilitated then.
Yes.
I wasn't bedridden then. So getting back to you.
Yes, so I've got to remember back now because it was a while ago. There was actually something else they found, but I don't know if you want me to mention that.
Sure, you can mention whatever you want to.
Yeah, so they actually found...
Who found?
Dr. Gary.
Okay, so you ended up in hospital.
So I ended up in hospital. Actually, no, this was before hospital. I'm rewinding a little bit.
Okay.
Went to an appointment with Gary, my first appointment.
Yeah.
He sent me to go get an ultrasound.
Sure.
And they discovered that I had a 12 centimetre cyst on my left ovary.
That's huge.
It's huge. So
and you're tiny.
They reminded me, I was very bloated. That was probably, I looked 4 months pregnant, probably.
Like 12 centimeters doesn't sound like a lot, but you're a tiny little girl.
No, how did they describe it? They're like, it's like a small baby's head or a size of a small rock melon.
Yeah, okay, so a cantaloupe in America.
Yes, cantaloupe.
Good old Australian and American terms. But you're probably a size 4? 2?
Oh, would that be in American size maybe?
No, it doesn't matter.
6 to 8?
You're 6, okay. So in American size, you're size 4.
Yeah.
You're tiny with a small rock melon cantaloupe inside your tummy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I could see when Gary said, look, we have to operate immediately. Okay. But when we were talking about all of my, you know, journey with fertility and, you know, period pains and intercourse, you know, pain through intercourse and that sort of thing, I could see he just knew, and he took one look at me and he just said, look, when we do the surgery, if we find endometriosis, are you happy for us to remove that and perform it? And we said absolutely. So obviously,
was that the first time that you had then spoken to somebody about the effects of endometriosis?
Yes.
And of course we have some army plane or a helicopter and a truck flying above us right now because we're in the middle of COVID.
That's right. Crazy times.
Yeah, we're allowed to be together.
Yeah, that's right. Probably got 1.5 meters distance.
Exactly. We're past the major restrictions. Okay. So this is the first time you've spoken to a doctor about endo.
Exactly. Okay. Yes. And he's actually leading up to it was all GPs and that sort of thing. So it was never even mentioned to me with all of those appointments. But with this particular fertility specialist at Pindara Hospital, he, straight away, and obviously I already knew about it. I'd heard a little bit about it. I'd done a little bit more research and spoke with Gary, and Gary also, you know, shared what endometriosis is as well. And so we were like, yes, please, we would love that. And it was almost like he knew that I had that and that's what was the issue. So
if we fast forward now, were you scheduled to go into hospital, or did you end up with like a ton of pain and you went to emergency and ended up having a surgery?
No, scheduled to go into hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they found what?
So that's where they found, they obviously removed the cyst and found Gary's words that I was absolutely riddled with endometriosis. Yeah. I saw images and was absolutely like, our minds were blown. It was just like black, complete black over the screen everywhere.
What was the black? What did he say it was? Tissue? Did he explain it to you?
That must have been the endometriosis.
Yeah,
it was
same
just
for me. Yeah.
It was just covered through I think it was my bladder, uterus. It was just everywhere.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So his words were, Sonya, I meticulously removed the endometriosis. So he's hoping that it won't grow back. But obviously, they say that you can have it for life if that's sure. And that it can grow back, but we really just had faith that once this was removed, God was going to bless us with a baby, and that was going to be one of the things. And this is what Gary would say, is that falling pregnant is a great way to obviously keep the endometriosis away, I guess. Keep it from growing back.
That's funny, because I don't know if you've done any further research on that, because I think because Australia is so behind researching endometriosis, and I think you and I talked about this a few weeks ago, where there's been some millions and millions of dollars, almost $10 million released by our Prime Minister to help with the research of endometriosis. Yet if you talk to people in other countries about endo, a lot of women have never heard of it.
Yeah.
And we have talked about theories as to why, and we're not doctors, we're not scientists, we can't state anything but our opinion. But your end goal with this was to have a baby.
Yeah.
And definitely. So the endometriosis was just something that was hanging on as an irritation really at that point.
Yeah.
You obviously had to recover from surgery, and you were obviously cleared of anything major or life-threatening in your system, right?
Yeah.
So once you got through surgery, and if it's not too personal, can I ask you if your intimacy was restored to something different?
Yes, it was.
And if that all changed your entire marriage, and the focus isn't just having a baby now, it actually might be fun having sex.
Well, that's the crazy thing about it. Ever since that endometriosis was removed, we said, and even post having our baby boy, Eli, we have just said how much better sex is, how much more enjoyable it is, how much it was just the endo that was affecting that, because it's just, I'm pain-free now. I'm pain-free when...
Now still?
Yeah, now still.
How many years past the surgery?
It's now been... I've got to do some maths here.
I want to say 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it'll be about 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Because how old is Eli?
Because Eli is 2.5.
Okay.
And we actually had a year still after the endo surgery. I had still a year until I felt pregnant with him. So.
And was that year, obviously it was a time of healing in the beginning, was that year stressful for you, or was it just fun and exciting and wow, I'm pain-free and we're trying to have a baby and this is fun? Were you dating, or was it a chore?
I think it still felt a little bit like, I guess because we'd already been trying for a baby for 2.5 years, and my whole thinking of sex is that it's painful and it's not enjoyable and it's a chore. It's devastating to think that now, but looking back, but now it's different. It's like, it's
the way it should be.
Pain-free and the way it should be. Exactly.
Pain-free.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now can we talk about Eli for a second?
Yes, absolutely.
So you have this beautiful little boy who might come running into the camera screen at any time.
Yes.
And how excited were you when you found out that you were pregnant with him?
Oh, goodness. That takes me back to some really good, happy memories. We were absolutely, don't even know the words to explain it, ecstatic, overjoyed, both burst into tears, obviously. I had to do that pee stick about 3 or 4 times just to make sure.
You mean the pregnancy test?
Yes, that pregnancy pee stick, yeah.
So that cost you probably $30?
Yeah, just to make sure, is that a double line? Is that another line? Because we were just so shocked because obviously it had been years of trying, and we were like, we couldn't believe our eyes. And so we cried, we hugged, we were just so excited.
Wow.
So excited. So, yeah.
And did you deal with extreme pain during your pregnancy at all? Or anything that you think could have been related to the endometriosis?
No, I don't think so.
You had a fairly good pregnancy?
I had a fairly healthy pregnancy. Obviously, like, quite sick, but they were all good signs for a healthy baby. Okay. Even after Eli, I've had that asked quite a bit from doctors, and you know, have you felt any, and even my midwife friend, my good midwife friend Mandy, like, have you had any signs that it might be, you know, growing back, or have you had any other symptoms? And I honestly can very happily stand here and say, or sit here and say that no, I haven't. Wow. Yeah, I haven't felt.
You're quite a miracle.
Symptoms. Yeah,
you're quite a miracle, because so many women, like some of the women that I've spoken to, and just the women that I know, and the women that I've met in the midst of all this, so many women have had 8, 9, 10 surgeries, and not been able to fall pregnant. Whereas you and I we were similar. Like, I didn't have the endo surgery before I fell pregnant, but I had such severe pain through my pregnancies that was unexplainable that I now look back and go, yeah, okay, that was endo. So we have very different journeys.
Yes.
But it's becoming so prevalent here. It's like, what's in our water here in Australia? What's different? Why is this debilitating? Or do we just have the education to actually put a title to something?
And it's crazy. My mum, like, and family will say, Sonya, you're the most healthiest person. Like, you are so healthy, and you're so conscious of what you eat and what you put into your body. How is this possible? But I would honestly say that it's not even relevant. It's not related to how healthy you are. I honestly have no idea really where it came from, how I could have had it from birth. It could have been passed down from, you know, generations, who knows. And that's probably one of my biggest fears now, is if I have a little girl next, am I going to pass that on to her? I guess that's, you know, that's something I'm a little bit fearful about, but I just have to trust God that he brought me through this. And has given me a little miracle boy, so why wouldn't he do the same for, you know, for future?
True. And you know that I'm experiencing that with my daughter Faith, you know,
exactly.
So you know, we'll be interviewing her eventually, and I have had to deal with that, and it's brought up a lot of frustration for me, because I didn't know that my mother probably had it, because she died young. In speaking to her doctors, I found out she probably did, because of the symptoms she had then. And then to find out that my daughter is highly likely dealing with it. She hasn't had her surgery yet, so she's not confirmed. But she has all the symptoms that I had, some of the symptoms you've had, and more. And now she's married, and she's on the journey of figuring this out for herself. But everyone's journey is so different. It's like pregnancy. Everyone has the same story, but it's very different. All the details are different.
Same sort of outcome, but exactly.
And I guess you and I want to encourage women that there is hope. And if you are in a place of infertility challenges, or if you are in a place of being in bed 4 days out of the month because you can't get out of bed because of pain, and then all of a sudden that becomes worse, it's not normal, is it?
No.
We're not supposed to be living in that kind of pain.
Yeah, that's right.
We weren't designed to live in pain like that. And for too long, we've been told that it's normal to have painful periods. It's normal to suffer with horrible migraines. It's normal to go on, you know, erratic hormonal imbalances. But the more we look into it, it's not.
No, that's right.
And so my biggest challenge in the whole thing for me was to give myself the rest to learn about all this and heal from all of this, and recognize that it was okay to say that I had a disease. I didn't want to admit that at first, but acknowledging it was actually acknowledging a truth that was inside of me, and I had to acknowledge that truth to allow myself to get help. No matter how I was going to get through it, whether it was with my own faith or medically or nutritionally, whatever avenue I went down, it introduced me to a whole new group of women who have such amazing stories to share. And I think you and I have both come to the conclusion that we are willing to talk about the taboo subjects.
Definitely,
I don't want another woman your age to be suffering with infertility or with painful intercourse or difficulty in marriage and potential separation and divorce because they don't know about endometriosis.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
there is help.
Yeah, definitely. There's help out there for sure. And hopefully it'll just keep getting better and better with the research, with the money they're putting into this research that they're gonna,
So where do we go from here? I mean, you and I sat down today in front of this camera, never having done this before, with a little pipe dream. I have so many things flooding my brain about things that we can talk about.
Yes.
And I guess I'm
trying to think what else we can cover.
Oh, there's so many things we can cover, but I think the end goal is informing people, isn't it? I mean, I would love
getting the word out there.
Yeah, if it wasn't for COVID, I'd be like wanting to travel the world and interview women all over the place to find out whether endometriosis is even a word they've ever heard of.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk to top clinical doctors. I'd love to talk to people who have researched just this. I'd love to talk to people about diet. I mean, because I experienced major gut issues, which was part of why I got diagnosed, right? So I think we have a really huge world to explore.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. And I think it's 1 in 10 too.
Yeah. It's now 3 in 10.
Oh, 3 in 10. The statistics have changed.
Just in the last few years.
Yeah, wow.
3 in 10.
3 in 10.
And that's
women.
Diagnosed.
Yeah.
So what happens to the undiagnosed that have no idea?
Yeah, we need to talk more about it and be open and reach out to one another. Reach out to someone who's...
And surgery even is really scary to people. Like, who would think that you'd have to have a pretty intensive surgery to get a diagnosis? It's the idea of that stops women from actually getting checked out.
So true.
I was so grateful that I had a kind of 90% diagnosis from an experienced specialist without having an invasive operation.
Yeah.
But I had that you're swollen in way too many areas where you shouldn't be for your age, the fact that you've had children, the fact that you've been undiagnosed because you've had children. That was the thing that knocked me.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, you've had children, you can't have endo. And I didn't know enough to question it, So stay tuned.
Just one of the symptoms,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So should we do a stay tuned for part 2?
Yes, stay tuned for part 2. Wow. Cheers. Cheers.
To the peppermint tea?
Yeah.
Cool.
But this is the cute little Eli.
Beautiful product
of Whoa, what's the tea there, matey? Eli, can you say hello into the camera?
Yes, hello.
The reality of a toddler.